Hello my dear students, welcome back to Fluid Mechanics lecture series. I am your SumamMiss. My channel name is also SumamMiss. You can watch all my videos on my channel. Today we are going to discuss about the flow measurement in open channels. What is the importance of flow measurement in open channels? Accurate flow measurement for open channels is becoming increasingly important due to the growing demand for water and decrease in the available resources. In addition, flow measurement helps to compare the known quantity with the unknown quantity and helps detect any type of fluid loss. What is the basic principle of flow measurement in open channel? For the purpose of flow measurement, a hydraulic structure of fixed geometry is placed into the flow so that the flow is directed over the device. Every primary device has a known relationship between the level of fluid upstream of the device and the flow rate. This allows the users to measure the level, then compute the flow rate. For the measurement of flow in open channels, the most commonly used devices are notch and weir. What is a notch? Notch is a geometrical opening, mostly made of metallic plate. It is provided in the side of the tank or vessel. It is also provided in the narrow channels, particularly laboratory channels, in order to measure the flow rate. When this opening is provided in the side of the tank in such a way that water level in the tank is below the top edge of the opening. Here you can see a triangular notch, and water available in this tank is below the top edge of this notch. The bottom edge of the notch, that is called crust. So here this is the crust, and the vertical distance between this weir crust and the liquid surface is called h. The sheet of water that is flowing over this crust, that is called nap. Notch is also classified into notch with end contraction and notch without end contraction. When the sides of the notch cause end contraction of the nap, then it is called contracted notch. Whereas if there is no contraction of the nap due to sides, then it is called notch without end contraction or suppressed notch. In general, triangular notch is free from the problems due to end contraction. Notches are classified according to the geometrical shape of the opening and the end contraction. According to the shape, notch is classified as rectangular, triangular, trapezoidal, and stepped notch. The edges of the notches are beveled on the downstream side so as to make it sharp, resulting in minimum contact with the liquid. So the performance of notch and sharp crested weirs are more or less same. In the next section, we can classify different type of weirs. So let me define weir. Weir is a geometrical opening which we built across the river to raise the liquid level in the upstream side and to allow excess water to flow over its entire length to the downstream side. So this entire length is possible if the length of the weir that is equal to the width of the river. Figure shows a weir of fixed width and height. The top portion of this weir is called weir crust. So when weir is constructed across the river, the flow is taking place over the weir crust. When the flow is approaching this weir, the water surface is getting curved. The common method of measuring flow through an open channel is to measure this height or head. Since this water surface profile is curved, h is measured at a distance away from the upstream of this weir. So the device produces a characterized relationship between this liquid level upstream of the device and the flow rate under free flow conditions. What is called free flow conditions? So here you can see that this is the upstream water level and this is the downstream water level. So downstream water level is below the crust of this weir. So that is why the water is flowing freely over the weir crust. This type of weir is called freely discharging weirs. Weirs are classified based on shape of the opening, shape of the crust, effective sides of issuing nap, and discharge conditions. So based on the shape of the opening, like notches, weirs are classified into rectangular weir, triangular weir, and trapezoidal weir. And based on the shape of the crust, we can classify the weir as sharp crested weir, narrow crested weir, and broad crested weir. Figure shows a sharp crested weir. A sharp crested weir has a sharp upstream edge made by means of metallic plate embedded in concrete or masonry. Water, while flowing, touches only the upstream edge and flows free of downstream edge. The height of the crust from the channel bottom, that is called crust height, and in order to avoid the curved water surface profile, head is measured at a distance 4h from the upstream of this weir. In the case of narrow crusted weir, crust width is very narrow and the entire water that is flowing over the crust. Broad crusted weir has a broad crust. So in this case, the flowing liquid has a surface contact with the crust. The next classification is effective sides of issue nap, based on which we can classify the weir as weir with end contraction and weir without end contraction. So these are detailed in the next section. The last classification is based on the discharge conditions. So based on the discharge conditions, we are classified the weir as freely discharging weirs and submerged weirs. In the case of freely discharged weir, the downstream water level available is below the crust of this weir. So that is why these two cases are freely discharged weir. Here you can see that the downstream water level is below the top surface of the crust. Whereas in the case of submerged weir, downstream water level is above the top surface of the crust. The equations for computing the discharge basically depends upon the shape of the opening, shape of the crust, effective sides of issuing nap, and discharge conditions. So these are discussing in the subsequent videos. In this section, we are discussing about the effective sides of issuing nap. So based on this effect, we are classifying the weir as weir without end contraction and weir with end contraction. So first of all, we will discuss about the weir without end contraction. The figure shows a weir which is constructed across the river width. In this case, the width of the river and length of the weir both are same. So that is why, so when the flow approaches, it flows over the entire length of the weir. So this type of weir is called weir without end contraction. Look at this weir. In this weir, you can see that length of the weir is less than the width of the river. That is, L is less than W. So in this case, when the water approaches this weir, it is getting contracted, then it is getting expanded. The flow is not taking place over the entire length of the weir. So that is why some reductions to be made to account this end contraction. So the total length of the weir within which the flow is taking place is less than the actual length. So that is to be accounted in the discharge equation. So here you can very well see that this is the length of the weir and this is the width of the river. So both sides of the nap are getting affected due to the end contraction. In order to get an accurate discharge, one has to account the end contraction. Now the session comes to an end. Today we started with the classification of notches and weirs. We also discussed about the basic principle behind the flow measurement and the problems affecting the accurate measurement of the flow. For the time being, it is enough. In the next video, we are discussing about discharge computation of sharp crested weirs, broad crested weirs, submerged weirs, etc. For the time being, it is enough. Thank you for your patient listening. See you.